go. How is everybody today? How about we pause and just take in a nice deep breath? I know I need that. Pause. Slow it down. Let's see where everybody's at. And share with me your praises, your prayer requests, and maybe your anxieties. We don't want to focus on the things that are giving us struggles, but I want to know what is giving you anxiety. I am talking to a lot of people all the time, and I am picking up a lot of fear and a lot of uncertainty. So I wanted to kind of feed into that a little bit today. But at the same time, I also want to remind you to celebrate your wins. And Miss Laura is in front of me, and I just want to put a huge praise up for her wins, her progresses that she is making. Good things are happening in her life. Good things are happening in our life. We have a lot of things that we can't wait to share with you. A lot has been happening in a very short period of time. And next month we will be sharing some really wild things we have going on here. As you guys know, we are trying to embark on an opportunity to go to Alaska. We've started pursuing that last year real wholeheartedly. It's always been a dream, but we've been really pursuing that. Yet we are also being certain that we are putting Papa first, and that he is leading and that we aren't. Because when we lead out of his path, we're slowing things down for ourselves, and we are also sometimes making life a little bit more unpleasant for ourselves, because there's purpose in the other direction that he's taking us always. So, we've learned that long ago, and we are always seeking the path that he has for us. Good morning, Miss Laura. She is outside in the sunshine. She says, the sun is out and my batteries are getting charged. Not sure what is causing anxiety, but I feel the inner vibration and stress. Okay. All right. And I have to believe, well, and I know it because I'm seeing it, and the comments and the conversations that I'm having. Most people are living out of a place of fear and worry and concern right now. Good morning, Miss Shelley. Share with us how you are, any praises or prayer requests, and also, what might be giving you anxiety right now. And you know what? It's good. It's good to be really in tune with ourselves, in tune with our emotions, but we have to always remember that we are in full control over that. And this came to mind earlier today, and now I know why. Our subconscious is a child. Our subconscious is confused. Our subconscious is programmed by everything that we've experienced already in our lives. And that includes the good, the bad, and the ugly. That includes how we transition through life. We are constantly learning. We are constantly being molded. We are constantly being shaped. We are constantly growing. If we aren't, I want to encourage you guys to be processing down that path, because, I really believe that life is meant to be an adventure. It's meant to be fun. God wants to bless us. He wants to bless our greatest desires and just give us a good life. It's not promised that it'll all be pretty, but it is, that is his desire for us. So Shelley says, I'm doing good. My last client moved yesterday, and I'm not sure when I will work next. I have taken next week as a holiday. I did not want to work on my birthday. Well, there you go. So, beautiful. Cheers to you, sister. We both have butterfly mugs, and we're both on vacation, more or less. So that's good. And I want to encourage you guys to do that too. You know what? If you can't afford to go on a vacation, enjoy a staycation. We are not going anywhere fancy. My father-in-law is visiting. We are having a a really good time. It's just begun, and we are, you know, you don't have to go places, you don't have to spend money to have good fun. So keep that in mind. Good morning, Miss Vicky. Glad to have you joining. Oh, there we go. She's sharing her beautiful smiling face. Good morning. So share in the comments praises, prayer requests, anything that might be making you anxious, and just where you're at today. So what I was just saying is that, our subconscious is confused. It's a child. It's picked up on, everything we've experienced in life, and not everything has been perceived well. So, our subconscious may view things as a threat when really it's not. And what we need to realize is that we can reprogram our subconscious at any given time. When we talk about creating habits, that is one that is very vital, I think, for all of us, because, and we've spoke about this before. We've been programmed also through family dynamics, school, all, community, all kinds of things, that certain things are bad or scary or not good. And, as we become adults, we can start evaluating, those things and making decisions, better decisions for ourselves on what things are good for us, what things aren't good for us, what things that we can adjust. So I want you to really ponder that and think about that, because I'm always telling you guys to have that awareness of, where you're at, what you want, that kind of thing. Miss Shelley says, getting lots done outside, making a path down one side of our home. It looks, whoop, it disappeared. It looks cleaner. Got about half done so far. Very nice. Well, we had a showing on our property on Saturday, and I went crazy, and I had it. I'm very pleased, just like you, for the same reasons, just how things are. And Sunday, I did some really fun, exciting things for myself that weren't really normal, and it was still my day of rest. I was just playing, and it was a lot of fun. Miss Vicky says, just pray for God to make clear our job situation. Also pray for one of my children's situations unspoken. Absolutely. And Shelley says, I just realized that the Bible app has me read the Bible twice in a year, 2 more months, and the rereading the Bible. Very good. That's awesome. That's awesome. So there you go. You got your wish twice in 1 year. That's awesome. That's awesome. And you can't go wrong with that, because every time you go through it, you pick up new things. Every time you read the same small Bible verse, you get something different out of it. We all know that. So, yes, and Miss Vicky, that's some exciting stuff that you've got going on, where Papa is taking you. And, we're in the same boat. I had shared a little earlier on the Alaska thing and started talking on that. And, we don't really have clarity. This is in God's hands. And, for some people, when they're in a situation like this, it's debilitating to them because they don't have direction. And I also believe, as I shared, I'm hearing a lot of fear, a lot of worry coming from people that I talk to, whether in person, online. Our world circumstances can cause people to be fearful, rightfully so. So I think it's pretty clear to say that when there's uncertainty, we get fearful. And, I wasn't sure where Papa was taking me this morning. As I mentioned, I'm so half on vacation. A lot has been happening. I'm schooling through an immense fire hose. I will be level 2 certified by end of today. I have level 3 and mastery, and that will be July. So God is good. Everything is progressing. But, just like you, the rest of the world, I'm human. We get scattered. We get miscombobbled. So I wasn't sure where Papa was going to take this all today, because I didn't really have clarity here either. But I do now. And that is that, when we experience uncertainty in our lives, we have the choice to react to that also. And you know, my family and I could be in a very disheveled state of just not knowing where we're going, because we don't. Um, but that doesn't slow us down or stop us, and that keeps us pulling into Him. That keeps us going forward as to where we are being led. So let me expand on that. I've got 6 chickens in what used to be my bathhouse. They are in an old cooler with a wire cover because yesterday they started flying. So that created some interesting. Nobody got out, thankfully, but the mountain man had to wrangle some chickens. So he's now a chicken wrangler also. Um, we will be building a chicken coop probably this week sometime. Um, but we got chickens. Why? Because it's really hard for me to spend $10 on organic eggs. It's also even harder to have to drive an hour and a half to get them. Truth. Minimum of an hour. And, there are people close by that have eggs that I could get. However, they are not organically fed and I can't eat them because what the chicken eats, so do I, and I will not be well. The other thing is it became very difficult this year to get chickens that weren't vaccinated. And this is kind of funny to me. I went to North 40 yesterday. I have been in another North 40, and they had the most adorable ducks. I was given permission to get 3, but they were vaccinated. I'm not going to get something that's vaccinated if I don't vaccinate myself. And yesterday, I asked at the North 40 in this other location, and this was her comment, and it just makes me go. She says, "Oh, they just have one vaccine, just the one, the most dangerous, to cover the most dangerous and most pervasive sickness. But they only have the one." And I'm like, that's all it takes, sister. That's all it takes. One. And no, sorry, must go elsewhere. So I may not get ducks, but I did get 6 chickens that are going to lay eggs. So I'm excited about that. And I got some really cute, it's one of those. I got the last of the season. I got the last of the batch. They're mixed. I'm not quite sure what I got yet, but they are good in this area, and some of them lay colored eggs. So that will nurture my heart and soul every time I get a colored egg out of my box. So this is twofold. I'm preparing for, whatever may come our way. If we go to Alaska, somebody's going to either get blessed with 6 chickens, or we'll take them with. I imagine it would be more likely that somebody's going to get blessed rather than taking chickens from here to Alaska, but, we'll see what happens. But I'm also enjoying the process. We could all be like disheveled, disturbed, disgusted because things aren't happening the way we want. But I refuse to live that way. I refuse to live that way. My subconscious may choose. Our subconscious can choose to be that way. I fight it, just like I fight the enemy. I refuse. I refuse to live out of that space. So I am enjoying the process. And there will be more on this. The Mountain Boy and I have some very good subjects coming up on the podcast. And I know that we have not published any recently. We are in a transition. We are recording regularly, but I have somebody taking over the process for me, and that is requiring training. So we are using this as our training moment, and we are recording. So moving forward, it will be constant, consistent, quality content for you guys, because we will also be starting to interview some people, but the conversations that will be upcoming will be really good, I believe, because we've had some interesting moments here, and I will just share this. Saturday, I did some heavy-duty praying because we had a showing. It rained, sunny. Rained, sunny. Do you guys know what that does to grass? You guys know what that does to grass. Well, we weed eat what is our yard. And I wasn't about to do that. There was no way possible. I had too much on my plate. And I was looking on Marketplace to see if I could find one of those nice little, I refer to them as an Amish mower. And then I remembered I have one. Shelly says she has one. I did too, but it was tucked away. And match will with determination. I got it. I got it out. The mountain boy insisted that it was impossible. Even though his favorite Bible verse is all things are possible with God, which I reminded him, I got that mower out. And I mowed my grass. And let me tell you, this is what it's like. If you've ever shaved somebody's head that has a colic, you've got to hit it like 15 times in 8 different directions to get that colic gone. You know what? Everybody's laughing. You know what I'm saying, right? That's what it was like mowing my grass. It probably took me, oh goodness, I don't even know how long it took me. But you know what? I was tickled pink. I had a blast. I went around all the dandelions because I didn't want to mow them down because we're going to have batter dipped dandelion flowers this week with our fish. And I will be digging out my dandelion roots, and also we will be having dandelion greens. So I've got these big bushes of dandelions that are still there, but I had this really tall grass, and I was having to mow it 6 ways to Sunday. It was Sunday. I got it mowed, and it wasn't work. It was pleasure. So I do say that I don't work on Sundays, and I don't. That was pleasure to me. And I rolled over our wagon wheels that were kind of in storage, and I put them in front of the house because we have great-grandpa's wagon wheels, and I wanted to get them out and display them. So it's like the simple pleasures, the things that we think we can't do, we certainly can. It's just that we got to put a little effort forth. It requires effort to do things, but it also requires effort to get our subconscious mind reprogrammed. And I think that that's just something to consider, and something really important that we need to really consider in our times that we are in, because things are uncertain. But if you really think about it, and I know I've shared this before, everything's uncertain all the time, regardless how good or bad things are. We just have this the subconscious gives us the feeling of the good vibes versus the anxiety vibes, and it's really, we aren't promised tomorrow. So that's a reminder for all of us that if you are feeling anxious right now, you could feel anxious all the time, regardless how things are, regardless how the stock market is, regardless how our food shelves are, regardless, so why not just feel good about every day and make the best out of every day that we have, rather than worrying about anything? We need to do the best we can with where we're at. I got chickens to make my life better, to make me happy, to feed my family. We're not going to get eggs till likely August or September anyway. So I've been coddling chickens so that they come to me and I can pick them up and we can take care of them and gather them if they fly off, so just been having fun with it. But, the same applies in this regard. Someone said to me, I don't know if I should stock up on food. To me, that's such a waste. Okay. If you feel like you need to stock up on food, that's an investment. That is never, ever a waste, unless you leave it stockpiled somewhere and never use it. That's a waste. But if you stockpile food and you rotate your food and you know what you have, that's never a waste. That is a guarantee for your future. That is an investment, and it's wise. It's absolutely wise. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and be the Patriot Integrative Health Practitioner as well. The other comment was, I don't know if I should purchase a gun or if I shouldn't purchase a gun. I want you guys to think about something. Do you have a spare tire in your car? Why? Because you might need it sometime, right? A gun's no different. We've got all these people with gun phobias and trying to get rid of our rights. But it's not the gun that causes the problems. It's no different than David slinging the rock. It wasn't the rock's problem. And here's the other thing. If you are well versed and know how to use any tool that you have, regardless if it's a shovel, if it's a slingshot, if it's a gun, you're well versed, you know the safety, you know the rules, you know what you need to do with it. My suggestion is always, if you're going to purchase something, know how to use it. Don't only know how to use it, know how to clean it, know how to take care of it, know how to operate it, know how to fire it, practice. When we taught our son how to shoot, that was all part of the routine. Again, the subconscious. I know people that are afraid of butterflies. I know people that are afraid of birds. Why? Because their mother was. I know people that are afraid of guns. Why? Because their family was. They didn't know them. They didn't understand them. They didn't grow up with them. I grew up with guns. I learned how to hunt with my dad. There's nothing harmful in them if you know how to use them and you respect them. It's no different than respecting your car. If you don't respect your car, you're going to run somebody over at a crosswalk. So, rant over. But, all of these things are valid concerns right now. And if you want to validate those concerns instead of staying stuck in concern, pursue these things. Learn how to do it. Girls with Guns is all over the country, and they teach you how to shoot. You men can go to Cabela's or any of these stores. There's a lot of firing ranges all over the place. You can go and you can learn how to utilize. You can decide from there what you want to purchase. I highly recommend it. Like I said, I'm the Patriot Integrative Health Practitioner. I carry every day. There's wolves, mountain lions, bears. I have more four-legged critters than I do two, but the two-legged critters always worry me more than the four anyway. So, but anyhow, that's my rant. I'm done. So, Vicky says, as we wait on God's will to be revealed, I feel like I'm in the land between. However, my husband says, just do the last thing God told you to do and do it well. I love that. I've heard that so much lately, and I absolutely, absolutely love that. And that's keeping your mind focused on where it needs to be instead of where it wants to be, where it thinks it should be. And also, a lot of people fear that in-between place as it's uncomfortable maybe for some. It's a fearful place because you're in that unknown and you don't know if you're going here or there. But for me, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Am I going here or am I going there? Like, it's perspective, guys. It really, really is. Like, I've always been this way. And I'm so grateful that I am, because it makes life so adventurous. Because, it gives you the opportunity to wait and see what God's going to do. And here's the thing. This came to me earlier. God was planting seeds all morning while I was schooling. So Elijah was out in the woods. He didn't have any food. And Papa sent ravens in with food for him. As we read in the Bible, the birds do not have homes, yet they're always well fed. And it's just like the Israelites. The Israelites had birds falling out of the sky, like meat landing at their door. They had manna, angels' food, landing on the ground out in front of their homes. They had as much as they needed and could store up. Yet they lived in fear. And that is the subconscious mind controlling the beings. And it's like, I just get, like, I think of I've shared this before. The Israelites story just always baffles me, because God's hand was so visible, yet they were living out of that place of fear. And it's a great analogy for our times right now. Sarah may have gone into the organic store and they had chickens and she wanted chickens, but she didn't know how to raise them. She didn't know how to do anything. She was afraid, so she walked away. Went back the next day all ready to purchase them, and they were gone. It's like, if you feel led to do something, do it. There's a reason you're feeling that leading. Unless it's leading you to do something illegal or really spicy in the wrong direction, that's the enemy. But if it's something good, like buying chickens or buying food or whatever it is, if Papa's leading you down a good path, step out. Retrain your subconscious mind and be excited about where he's leading you, because he will always take care of us. And I've always said this, where he is taking us is going to be bigger and better than we could have ever imagined. You know, we have great visions for what we want to do in our life. And I know that when God unravels it, it's going to even be bigger and better than that. And you know what? If he doesn't unravel it and we end up here, it's going to be bigger and better. And there's purpose. There's purpose. And that's the point that I want to point out the most to you guys today. If he's leading you somewhere, there's purpose in it. I want to be in that purpose. I don't want to walk away from the purposes and the plans that he has for me. I want to be like in them, hot and heavy. So it's real important to me. And it just comes with pulling in, asking, pulling in, praying, seeking. And when you're nudged, jump. And don't be afraid to be persistent. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I'm going to go down this little sideline. I'm sure there's purpose in it, because I'm thinking of my day yesterday. I can't exactly share what was going on yesterday. Well, I can, in a way. So, I'm pondering here, deep in thought. Okay, I need my hat on, Vicky. My husband told my father-in-law yesterday to be very careful around me, because I'm using very large words and talking about things that make absolutely no sense, because now that I'm schooling, he says something has happened. I'm talking about diurnal rhythms and circadian rhythms, and so it's really funny. I'm having a lot of fun in this season of my life. All right, anyway, yesterday. Okay, the day before, it's been fast-paced. We stopped at the Social Security office with an intention in mind. And this was an office you could go in, it was a walk-in and schedule an appointment. And we had to, I had to go pick up my father-in-law at the airport. So we sat there for 40 minutes, and then we had to go. We were probably next in line, but still we would have had to take time, and we had to go get him from the airport. So we left. So yesterday, there was timing involved in this, and because May 7th, you can't get into the federal buildings without the star on your driver's license. So it's kind of chickens before the eggs and so forth. So we made a very early morning trip to get to the Social Security office before the office opened. We did get there 15 minutes after they opened because of traffic, but there was hardly anybody there. We entered their little computer for our appointment time to get our little number, and I went to the restroom, and when I came out, my son says, "You're not going to believe this." Like, what? He says, "They just announced on the loudspeaker that if you don't have an appointment, you can't be seen in this office anymore. They are making it, as of today, appointment only." So we had already done what we needed to do online. We just needed to go and show a document. So this is a perfect example of learning to just ask. I can share another one with you then. And I know this is a little all over the place, but I think it plays all of these things play a role in our current times. We need to be willing to step out. We need to be willing to ask. We need to be willing to check. We need to be willing to do and go and act on where we are being led to go. So anyway, we got called too later, and the lady says, "I'm sorry, we're going to have to make an appointment." And I said, "I have a question for you." I said, "We are an hour and a half away from this office." I said, "We were here yesterday for 40 minutes and we had to leave. We did everything online. All we have to do is show you this document. Would you be willing by any chance to take a look at this document?" She goes, "Well, if you did all that," she says, "it should be pretty easy." "Sure, give me the paper." Now, I could have just sat there. Okay, let's do the appointment. You know, she would have known otherwise, and I would have had to go back up there. Who knows when, you know. I asked. I got in. It's done. And we celebrated big time. And you'll understand that in a couple weeks. So we need to ask. I bought a home back in, I don't know, 2000. It's an old Victorian home. I love old homes. I grew up in a home that was built in 1749. I love antiques. And this was a pastor's home. There were a lot of people married in the front room with the pocket doors. It was a beautiful old home. It was amazing. And there were antiques all over the place. My mother collected tins, and I saw an old potato chip tin, and I asked if it would be possible to, if what they were going to do with that tin. He's like, "Oh, you can have it." So we go to the settlement, closing for this, and I said to the guy, I said, "Oh my goodness," I said, "those antiques in that house," I said, "I would have given my right arm for them." He goes, "I would have given my left arm if you would have told me that, because I would have left everything there and I wouldn't have had to move any of it." That was the lesson, and that's when I learned to ask. It was a house full of antiques in every room. An old piano, an old desk, an old bookcase with the glass front, old picture frames, whole house loaded with antiques to the gill, with stories that went behind it from this pastor and his wife, and I didn't say anything. So that was my lesson learned, and since that day, I ask. I will ask, and you know, you don't have to ask belligerently. You just ask kindly. And the worst thing they're going to do is say no. And if they say no, they say no. But a lot of the time, people will say yes. So, you know, don't be afraid to ask. If you see, like yesterday, I almost stopped. If we wouldn't have been so busy, I probably would have stopped. I love lilacs. And lilacs create little sprouts underneath the plant every year of new growth that you could just transplant and create your own lilac bush. And there were these beautiful shades of lilacs. And I'm like, man, I want to stop and just ask if I could dig up a shoot. But one of these days I will. And, you know, it's just, but the thing is, we need to ask. Also, it's important to ask and know that our poultry, and probably so much more of our domestic animals and animals, are being vaccinated. I refuse to purchase something that's vaccinated. If they can't tell me one way or the other whether it was vaccinated, I'm not buying it. I need to know, and I need to see proof. I am not purchasing something with that junk in it, because it's not going to serve us well. I'm not buying, I can't, you know, I have to feed my chickens organic feed. Do I check on that too? Do you have organic feed? Well, I'm not sure if it's organic. Okay, thank you very much. You know, seek what you need. Ask. You know, it's not just Papa that we're supposed to do that with. We are in a setting right now in our lives where things are not what they always seem, right? We've witnessed that so much over the last 5 years. So being educated is important. Asking and knowing, seeking is also important. And realizing when you're in a place of fear, anxiety, worry, that it is the childlike portion of your brain taking over. Do you want to allow a child to guide your life? Think about that. Do you want a child guiding your life? I leave my child comes out, like when I was mowing the colicky yard the other day, but I allow that childlike portion of my brain to allow me to have fun, but I do not allow it to hold me back. So there's two sides to that childlike brain. We are supposed to live life like a child. We are supposed to have faith like a child. But oftentimes we allow that childlike brain to hold us back. And if I were to do that, I wouldn't be an asker, and I wouldn't be living where I am right now. So embrace life, and don't be afraid. You know what? Our times right now are no different than the times we've experienced in the past. They're no different than past history. There's always been junk. There's always been struggles. There's always been bad people. I mean, look at Cain and Abel. I started early, you know what I'm saying? So Why base our goodness and our lives on bad times? You know, it's a choice. It's a choice. So let me see here. All right. Shelley says, my son has made a suggestion. We are leaving it in his hands. I will share more in circle. Jim is home and he is very unsure. Okay. Exciting. That right there, that sounds right up my alley. You know that. You know that. All right, cool. I look forward to hearing more. Laura says, wish we were closer. We have too many eggs. Yes. Well, and my father-in-law was sharing how he's been gifting eggs also. And you know what? That's a great way to meet your neighbors. It's a great barter tool. And yes, you're going to, I told you, I'm the Patriot Integrative Health Practitioner. And you know what? There's a fine line in life. I always cross it a lot of the time. You know, there's a lot of people that are looking for my services that would be freaked out by the conversation we're having today, and that I mentioned a gun, and that I mentioned all this. But at the same time, there's a whole other population of people that are surfacing to us, and, you know, we live off grid. We live a preparedness lifestyle. We know how to survive in the wilderness, matched with being healthy and knowing how to stay healthy, knowing how to be active, knowing how to de-stress, knowing how to do all these things. You bring them all together, you've really got a very well-lived life. And that's what you're going to hear more and more here. I'm not afraid to speak the truth. I'm not afraid to share the way I live, and I'm not afraid to be me. And, you know, as I was entering this morning, the gun thing surfaced. So Papa was already implanting. And, you know, there's going to come a time, there's very likely there's going to come a time where people may have walked away from this video and shook their head at me and foo-fooed me, and there'll be a later time where they'll be like, I wish I would have listened to her. So I'm planting seeds, and I'm teaching, and I'm educating, and I'm sharing, and that's what you're going to get from me here. So I hope you like it, and I hope you stay. Shelley says, you got your exercise mowing the lawn. I did, and I got some good detoxing because I was sweating. Because it was warm, and it was, but you know what? It was a very well-rounded de-stressing experience. I sweated, I exercised, I laughed hysterically multiple times, pretty much the whole time. My son thought I was nuts. That made it even funnier. My husband would have thought I was nuts, but he wasn't present at the time. I do these crazy things when he's gone, because they're like, you don't want to use that? That's a waste of time. You know what? No. That was the best hour of my day. Might have been 2. It was awesome. You know what? Don't take away my joy. Oh, anyway, be you at all costs. Laura says having a stock pantry allows you to shop bargains. Stocking up on food saves money. It really does. I'm going to share something with you guys. So the store closest to us has started to carry a lot of non-GMO organic foods. I can get my milk there. I don't even remember how many ounces it is. It's really sickening. $8 and some change for milk that takes me like 3 days to go through. And I don't really want to give it up. Sometimes I do. Yesterday, at the organic store, an hour and a half away, where things were always way more expensive, I got that same jug of milk for $3.59. And, you know, we've been buying locally because we want to give the money locally, save on fuel costs. But I'll tell you what, and you guys know how I love shopping. So that was gritted teeth. So maybe once every 2 months, we're going to go and drive and spend the money in the other city because I can't. I mean, I could have got 3. Could have got 3 of them. That's just sick. So yes, ran over. But anyway, yes, absolutely. You stock up. You go when there's sales. You pay attention to the sales. You get in on their programs. You know, I buy at the health food store an hour and a half away all the time. I get 20% off coupons. Sometimes they offer 20% off your entire cart. It all pays. You go there on their sales. You pick up the things that are on sale when they're there, and you get the other things that you need, and you can eat a very healthy diet by shopping that way. And then you've also got Azure Standard, and I encourage you guys to look that up. I think you can go to faithledhealing.com/Azure, Azure, and they're in Alaska. I will be ordering once a year, and it's going to be like coming on pallets. But anyway. All right. Laura says, when you are on the other side of an exchange, remember to offer just as you would ask. Other side of an exchange, remember to offer just as you would ask. So was that when I was talking about the antiques and all of that stuff? Okay. All right. Gotcha. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And here's the other thing. Okay. This happened 2 times now. I was at an event last Wednesday, and I was asked how I provide for my family living off grid. And at the end of the conversation, at the end of the setting, my business card was asked for because I am the person that they've been looking for and didn't know how to find. And yesterday at the Social Security office, I turned back around and I said, I'm giving you my business card. You can either text me or email me on these two things here. I would like to bless you for your kindness today. And she goes, thank you so much. She goes, we're not allowed to take gifts. Surprise. But she says, I'm going to take your card and I'm going to hang it on the wall back here in our office. And if somebody decides to call you, that's perfectly fine. I'm like, sweet. I'm like, thank you so very much. That right there is how you network with people, how you connect with people, how you create those connections. You know, I knew she was a good woman. I was reflecting that I was a good woman, and there's connection made there. I mean, that's how we are all sitting here together already, you know. Papa brought us together. That was not coincidence either yesterday. I don't think at all. So, let me see here. Shelley says, I find that the foods that go on sale are not ingredients. I generally only buy ingredients. Oh, but sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. But it's a little more rare. I hear you. There are certain things that I will purchase that are processed. They're organic or non-GMO. But like you, I buy bulk ingredients. But that's the beauty of using Azure, because you can buy a 50-pound bag of rice that lasts a very long time, and you can get the right brand that doesn't have any arsenic in it, so that we're not poisoning ourselves, and so forth and so on. So yeah. Oh, Mr. Keith is in the house. It is like riding a hog when you know you're about to be passed by a Norton. Ha! Let me tell you, I went on Sunday afternoon, and I went in to the garage where my sassy is stored, swung my leg over, key in, pulled the choke. She hasn't been started for well over a year, and she fired right up with all the good stuff we put in her nutrients, we put in her fuel, and she started right up. So now I just need to make sure everything's tight, and I need to make sure that there's the appropriate air in the tires, and I'll be looking for that Norton, let me tell you. Yeah, she started right up. I was super. Sunday was a good day. Sunday was a good day. Sun was shining. And here's something else I want to share with you. Don't be disappointed in life circumstances, because everything has purpose. So Thursday, Friday, I was schooling with my phone in my back pocket, re-listening to things. I was moving things, sorting things, organizing things, prettifying things. And come Saturday, we have an open house. Supposed to be a realtor tour along with open to the public. My realtor couldn't make it. She sent another associate with, who ends up being a pastor as well. And I sat on my porch and I was putting soles on the bottoms of some of the moccasins that I've made in the beautiful sunshine, having an amazing conversation, very divine conversation. Knew it was divine because I was sharing parts of my story, but parts that I don't normally share. Parts that don't normally seem to have a bearing on any part of the conversation, though they played a tremendous role in that conversation. And would you know that his family came, his children came, his wife came. They got to go to my $1 million view, enjoy a little snack on a blanket, and hang out in the corner of my property. I didn't miss out on anything. It was a good day. It was, I got things done I wanted to get done. They were the only people that came. I could be really disappointed, but you know what? I wasn't. Because I knew that there was a divine encounter and that there was a purpose in all of that. And that's just one example, but we have those examples every day, all day long. And our first instinct is always to choose to be disappointed or have, as you always hear, having expectations. I don't roll with expectation. I roll in a place of excitement, which you see all the time. I can't shut that off. So you get what I am. And, but I want to just encourage you guys. Many of you out there that are listening or listening to the replay may be in a very fearful, anxious, scared place right now. And things are weird. But they aren't in our four walls, and they aren't in our corners of the world. And we can still, and I encourage you, be aware of what's going on around you. That's really, really important, always. But make your day-to-day and your life and your corner of the world the best place you could possibly encounter. Because that's where our peace and our comfort comes from. That's where it should come from. And if you're not finding it there, create it. Plain and simple. Create it. Not all of you are going to have a field day mowing a colicky yard with an Amish mower, but I did. Have fun. Have fun. My porch is cozy. We have fires in the pit for a little while yet till it gets too dry here. I have my chimney on the porch. I make my day-to-day a good place to be. And that's the ticket to making it through the harder times. There is a lot of the population that had to go through chaos earlier in time. The Great Depression, the wars, so many different things. Yet, just like today, depending who you asked, one of them might tell you it was the most amazing time of their life. The other might tell you it was the most terrible. So I ask you today, what are you going to decide? What are you going to decide to do in the times that we live in? Because here's the other thing, just like Laura said, when you're on the other side of an exchange, remember to offer just as you would ask. And that's the same in this scenario. We can set ourselves up to such a place that we live out of such a beautiful space that we are able to bless others in so many different ways because of our perspective, because of our view, because of saying hello when others would walk by. There's so much. And then you've got abundance in eggs. What a blessing that is to a neighbor that might be struggling. There's so many things that we can do to flip the script and make life very different, for ourselves and others. So I want to encourage you guys to really think about that right now. Make life amazing. I refuse to resign to anything less. And don't get me wrong. Oh, she's got her lilac bushes. Thank you, Miss Shelley. If you were closer, I know you would give me a start. Oh, that's so cool. And you know what? They make the best jelly. They make the best jelly. Lilac jelly, yes ma'am. All you have to do is take the flowers off and soak them in the hot water. And then you add your sugar just like you would to, your fruit and your pectin. I use natural pectins and I use honey. Excuse me, I prefer to use honey. But anyway, I need to get us out of here so that we can go to Breathwork. But I really want to encourage you guys to, you're the only one that can change and make your life what you want it to be. Nobody else. So make it good. And I'm going to keep YouTube on here. You guys have been on for all this time now. I'm going to pray, and you can be part of that too. So I'm just going to pray us out of here. Papa, I just praise you for this beautiful, glorious, sunny day. I praise you that my father-in-law can be here with us. I praise you for the blessings that you continue to bless us with yesterday in the Social Security office, and just how you are guiding and directing and just leading us to the right people, bringing the right conversations. And when we pull into you and make it a point to put you first, the anxieties and the fears and the worries begin to drop off, because you bring peace, you bring comfort, you bring everything we need. You bless our socks off if we're willing to see the blessings over the chaos. Papa, I just ask that you wrap your loving arms around everyone watching this, our community, my special access that's sitting here face to face with me. Papa, I just ask that you just bless everybody tremendously. Help them to learn how to shut off their childlike subconscious mind and create good habits to create an amazing life for themselves. Help them to remove the fears and the worries. Help them to respond to the nudges that you put on them, whether it's to purchase food, excess food, or to purchase chickens, or even a gun. You know, Papa, we just praise you for the guiding and the leading that you put in our lives, for the ability to create an absolutely amazing life, even through the chaos. And Papa, just provide for everyone's needs, whether it is health and healing, whether it is finances, whether it is marriage, whatever it is that they need. Provide for their needs. May they see your presence. May they become in tune with your calling on their lives. And Papa, I just praise you and thank you for guiding this today. You always have purpose in everything, and I'm just so grateful that I have eyes to see that. And I just ask that you give everyone eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to bless. Papa, thank you for all you're going to do today. Thank you for your presence here. We love you, and we ask all of this in your holy and precious name of Jesus. Amen. And be with all the prayer requests. Be with Vicky's family. And she and David, as they are progressing on this new journey, bless them with excitement and eyes to see your hands, Papa. We love you and ask all of this in your holy and precious name of Jesus. Amen. Okay. All right. So, for those of you that are on YouTube, you can join me every Wednesday in a breathwork session. It is an hour long. You will feel like you've had a full body massage on the other side of the hour, and you will do miraculous things to your nervous system. So, feel free to join me, faithledhealing.com/group sessions. Unfortunately, my calendar, although I would let you in, my calendar will likely not let you in because we're like a few minutes before we start. But get on for next week and join our community, faithledhealing.com/community. I love you, ladies. Thank you for joining. Thank you for interacting. This was amazing. I will see you in Breathwork. God bless everybody. All right, let's see here. 3 machines. Rapid fire.